Dear Father Simon of the Drive Time Conclave, I wish to seek forgiveness on behalf of my wife. I am a maths teacher from the Northwest, which has no bearing whatsoever on this sorry tale, except that I shall be using algebraic notation for the purpose of anonymity.
Overdue, I'd say. Overdue.
So
well done.
That's why he's referring to himself
right
as Pi. My wife, we're going to call her Y, as in the letter Y.
Yep.
Question I've asked myself many times, and doubtless one many people will be asking by the end of this confession. She is a loving partner, a doting mother, and about as good a person as you're ever likely to meet. But she does have an Achilles heel. Shopping. Or, more precisely, Father Simon, clothes and non-essential household item shopping, which is very specific. When out shopping for any of the aforementioned, she enters a kind of shamanic trance, where communication becomes virtually impossible. Extra marks. Using the word shamanic, a word I've never actually said out loud.
I don't think it exists.
Does that sound about right?
Oh, just go for it.
Okay. By way of illustration, a good number of years ago now, when our kids, let's call them A and B, were toddlers, she spent 4 hours in a local branch of a well-known high street clothing store, an episode that almost ended in a programme of marriage guidance. She got to the till with all of her choices and proceeded then to separate them into two piles, items to be purchased and items that actually, now she thought about it, she'd decided against, in front of a bemused sales assistant at the till. This is back to your till behaviour from yesterday.
Disgraceful.
I mention this because deciding against purchases at a later date is all part of this extraordinary, elaborate process. See, Father Simon, once out of the enchanted atmosphere of the retail outlet, many of the purchased items inexplicably lose their lustre and are no longer desirable for a plethora of reasons. This is not a problem, though, as the one thing Y, the child Y, seems to enjoy... No, sorry, it's wife Y, isn't it?
Yes.
The wife is Y, the children are A and B, and he's Pi.
Already tripped ourselves up
It
on this.
really helps,
Brilliant.
doesn't it? Right. This is not a problem, as the one thing Y, my wife, seems to enjoy almost as much as buying the things in the first place is the satisfaction of returning them and getting her money back. I honestly believe that this is an as yet undiagnosed medical condition. Anyway, I have to say that Y is exceptional at getting a refund, and I have watched in awe over the years as she's dealt with polite tenacity with the most intimidating of sales assistants. I have never seen her fail. The incident that we seek forgiveness for is one that only happened a few weeks ago. Y had bought a mattress cover from a budget outlet, and after briefly taking it out of the packet, decided it was, for some reason, unsatisfactory. She folded it neatly back into the packaging, and it looked pretty much as she'd just bought it. But even Y, with her years of expertise in this area, conceded this was going to be a tricky one. Mattress covers fall into a similar category to underwear when it comes to returning, and that means it's a no-go. You can't do it. So we got to the budget outlet, and Y duly informed the sales assistant that she wished to return the mattress cover. The sales assistant immediately called for the manager, indicating to us that this wasn't going to be plain sailing. In fact, it was going to be unlikely. A confident-looking young man appeared, and after examining the packet, asked Y if it had been opened, to which she replied that it had. His brow became furrowed, and Y, sensing that this answer, although true, was going to be problematic regarding getting a refund, quickly added a sentence that she still can't quite explain. She took a breath, and it just came out. It's not been used, she said, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that it's for my mother-in-law, you see, and I noticed on the packaging on my way out that it says it's not, and she lowered her voice to a whisper, it's not waterproof. Boom! If it had been a boxing match, the referee would have jumped in and been leading the once confident young manager back to his corner.
Yeah.
Right, of course, madam, no problem, he says. Flushing slightly, you might say. Taking the offending item from Y and beating a hasty retreat whilst the sales assistant sorted out the refund. I stood there aghast, barely comprehending what I'd just witnessed. So Y's record remained unblemished, just like the mattress cover. But we both recognised that it was a very bad thing that she'd done and that she needed to repent. Father Simon and the Drive Time Collective. Y seeks forgiveness from two parties. the confident young manager who was not quite so cocksure of himself by the time Y had finished with him, and my mother, X,
We're still going with that, are we?
who Y actually gets on with quite well on the whole, if I'm being honest, and who's completely oblivious to this. But I should add, for avoidance of doubt, she is still in full control of all her
Even though
faculties.
we've changed her name to an algebraic function, just
That's
to
right.
point out.
She's still got all her bodily functions
Yeah.
together. Everything is perfectly fine, even though interesting bit of ad-libbing from Y to a shop manager who doesn't get a letter or a number for some reason. Anyway, let's see what Sister Bobby makes of this.
Okay, well, disregarding all your kind of family setup and maybe the differences between Pi and Y as to what they consider essential and how many clothes she needs, because I think there are many different households where that's not necessarily kind of in agreement. You see what I mean? So the unnecessary buying is basically a matter of opinion, and as long as it's
I
not
understand
causing
that bit.
financial distress,
Yes.
then really Pi and Y have a difference of opinion. That's it. So that's said.
So
That's
true.
gone.
However-
So all I'm saying is she bought something that she thought, this is not as good as I thought it was. She didn't use it, right? But it's really difficult. She didn't lie. She didn't use it, did she? It's not like she used it for a week and went, no, I'll take this back.
She implied her mother-in-law was
Yeah,
incontinent.
but the mother-in-law didn't know.
And actually,
it
she's right
doesn't-
here.
You see, the thing is, it hasn't done any damage. The mother-in-law, it's not like she's the manager in the shop or anything like that. So I'm saying this is quite easy to forgive.
Oh, okay.
I think on this case, it's quite easy to forgive because the lie was kind of basically to tell the truth. Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't make any
Yes,
sense.
it does,
at all.
because the
Anyway.
truth is out there. Anyway, so you're forgiven. Your wife's forgiven.
It is
Truth
very
is out
much
there.
out there, isn't it, everyone?
Brother Matthew.
We've all learned something. I'm definitely going to forgive, and the reason why is that
When you say the reason why, do
the
you
reason
mean
why
Yes.
is because Y has a skill that I wish I had. I can't take things back for refunds because I can't get into the whole. Did you open it? Well, of course I opened it because then only by opening it could I realise that I didn't want it. So I'd like my money. I don't want to get into that. I just take a hit. Oh, fine. And that is why the economy is still doing so. It's because of me buying stuff
you're
that
feeble.
and then putting them in the bin because, I can't take them back to the store because I don't want to have that conversation. So good for Y, that's what I say.
And so therefore...
Forgive.